Alright guys, Reese with Bass Connection here. I'm going to talk to you about the jig trailers I like to throw. What this jig is a Bass X, the spider jig with, I think they call it pond scum perch. It's basically just a bluegill color, so it has some browns, blues, orange, green pumpkin. Really good color, I love it, especially around the spawn, post spawn, and works really good in the summertime too. It's probably my favorite jig color. I throw it the spider jig, so it's a finesse jig, round ball, and you just split the skirt and then cut it off around the head. Kind of just a finesse jig. This is a 1/2 ounce model. Lets me cast farther. I can flip it a lot better, skip it pretty good, and it sinks pretty fast if I'm fishing deep water. It's good. So the trailers I like to use, this is a Zoom Z-Hog, California 420 color. I use this when I'm flipping because it gives it that bulkier profile. As you can see here, it kind of sticks out farther from the jig, so it widens the skirt more. A lot of action. Just love it flipping. I don't know why. I also use a twin tail grub. I don't know what company this is. I just found it in my tackle box. This is good around when it's getting colder or in the summertime. I don't know why. It just works. I like the Yum Christy Critter, I think is what they call it. Christy Crawl. Yeah, the Christy Crawl. This is a black and blue sapphire. Got a good action. I use this Texas rig. Basically, you can use it anywhere, but I love it on the back of a jig. Really good action. You can flip it in there, cast it out good. I would recommend cutting off a good 1/4 inch of the bait, just so it's not as long and linky. Especially with these finesse jigs. If you can see it there, see how longer that is. So if you cut off about a 1/4 inch, it's pretty small. You can get those more finicky fish to bite it. I also like a Berkeley Havoc Pit Boss. You could do the Pit Boss or Pit Boss Junior, whatever you prefer. Just cut off the 1/4 inch of the head or whatever. This is another good bait. Has some action to it. Use it mainly in the spring or winter. Another good one, missile baits D-bomb. This is really good. Not as lot as action as you think it would have. So I use it mainly in if I gonna flip it in there into some brush or in the winter time. Really good. Now the big daddy of them all, what I use the majority of the time, Strike King Rage Crawl. Use this in the summertime. A lot of action. You can get those bites. I yo-yo it up sometimes in the summer. Get those reaction strikes. It's also good just flip it in some brush, or really good on the spawn. It just makes those fish go crazy. Another one that I use majority of the time is a Zoom Speed Crawl. Cut off about the first section and put it on the jig. Really good action, really good bait. You can use it year round. Those are the jig trailers I like to use on my jig. What I do with my jig, I use 15 to 17 and 20 pound test line depending on what I'm going to do. Sometimes I go up to 25 if I know I'm going to fish that heavy cover or deeper water around a lot of big rocks. Majority of the time I use a ball head spider or finesse jig or a football jig. Sometimes I use a flipping jig, but I just like fishing this finesse jig, flipping it. I don't know why. I just feel like I have more bites and I'm more confident with it. I use a 7'3" Jason Christie Falcon rod. It's his jig and worm rod. It's a heavy action. I can go up to a 1.5 ounce jig throwing it. I love that rod. It's really good. Paired up with a Abu Garcia Revo SX, 7.1 to 1 gear ratio. Cast it out a mile. When it's on the end of the cast, you got to reel it in pretty quick to get that fish from getting unhung. That's why I use that 7-1. It's also good flipping in, getting them out of the cover quick. Some tips on jigs. If you get hung up, just kind of twitch your rod a little bit or pull your line. Most of the time it'll. Alright guys, Reese with Bass Connection here. I'm going to talk to you about the jig trailers I like to throw. What this jig is a Bass X, the spider jig with, I think they call it pond scum perch. It's basically just a bluegill color, so it has some browns, blues, orange, green pumpkin. Really good color. I love it, especially around the spawn, post spawn, and works really good in the summertime too. It's probably my favorite jig color. I throw it the spider jig, so it's a finesse jig, round ball, and you just split the skirt and then cut it off around the head. Kind of just a finesse jig. This is a half-ounce model. Lets me cast farther. I can flip it a lot better, skip it pretty good, and it sinks pretty fast.